Was that funny? She is my big sister. Because she is my big sister, she is my first friend. Because she is my first friend, she is my first best friend. Because of this, we spent all day and all night together. Because of this, many memories were created that will be carried with me forever. Rose is a light that never dulled in my life and in countless others. A light that we will all now carry with us every day. Rose will be missed by all, and I cannot understand the pain that my aunts, uncles, grandparents, and parents are going through to have to bury someone they expected to be burying them. For those of you who did not know Rose from the beginning, if you were wondering, no, her hair is not naturally pink or green. To explain Rose's hair, I would refer to it as a Dr. Seuss book. Her hair is blue, now it is yellow. Oh wait, sorry, now it is red. If you're confused, she now has dreads. But Rose's hair is an extension of who she is. And for a while, I looked at Rose as being strange, a strange person. Of course, I still loved her, but there is no denying her uniqueness. And this is the same feeling for many people. But this never bothered Rose. She still carried her shoulders high and held her chin up and is never not smiling. A deep memory I have of Rose is that on a day of school, and I believe she was in 3rd grade, she came up with the most eye-catching outfit I had ever seen. She wore socks above her knees, leggings as sleeves that she had hand-cut to fit her arms, a tie-dye top hat that was bigger than her. This was not the only occasion of me thinking of Rose as being strange. Another occasion I vividly remember was at her old house on Arbor Vista. I remember walking into her storage room and looking up, and surprisingly I saw Rose high up in the cabinets. I asked Rose, "How did you get up there?" She looked at me and said, "I'm a cat. Become a cat." Of course, I turned around and remained human. Or Rose acting as a cow in the backyard, or taking mud baths, or me and her playing with bugs in the backyard. I began to realize, however, that Rose's strangeness is not actually strange. Yes, for a certain period of time, she did not wear deodorant or use shaving cream, but it is really the most normal thing I had ever seen. Rose lived a life free of judgment. She's the most free-spirited person I've ever known, and never cared what others thought of her. This is why she's not strange. She lived the life how she chose to live it and stuck with it no matter the other opinions. I wish I had the mental abilities to do something I did not belong with and feel like I belong. For example, Rose joined the wrestling team and beat many of her male competitions. No one would ever have guessed that a woman would be on the wrestling team, but Rose defied those assumptions, and she became good at it. I would know. I was her sparring partner for many nights. It was not fun. This is one reason I looked up to Rose. She had the ability to block out all the white noise that did not matter, because in the end, she was going to do what she wanted. So for me to explain Rose, I would have to say that one, as her strangeness was in reality watching a human live a free and self-fulfilling life. Another way to explain Rose is, two, she's the most understanding person I had ever met. If I were in a room with Lily, Joseph, or Rose, and I had to choose who I was going to speak to about something that I needed help on, sorry, Lily and Joseph, I would choose Rose. And I'm sure they would do the same. Rose had a great ability that she already knew what to say to make you feel better, or explain why what you did was wrong without making it seem like she was attacking you. She could take a bad situation and make it a bearable situation, and then into a good one. If you had an issue, Rose is the one to go to in order to discuss it and solve it. She had a way of letting you open up to her without feeling ashamed or scared. She was so trustworthy, and I may never have someone who I could speak to the way I could speak to Rose about things. The third thing you should know about Rose is that she was tough as nails. Like I mentioned before, Rose was on the wrestling team. I don't think there will ever be, or has ever been, a 5-foot girl on her tiptoes who weighed on a heavy day 115. If you were not intimidated by a short, stubby, muscular girl coming at you, then you yourself must have been a little bit crazy. I can vouch for Rose's ability because a lot of her techniques she polished on me. Yes, it was not fun or comfortable for me, but I always did it for the small chance that I would pin her and then hold that over her head for the rest of our lives. Another example of her grit was with her job. Up until the very end, she was the toughest on the street. She went out for a unit where only 4 of the top women would make it. She may have not made it, but that takes guts. She found her home with the IDF guarding a gate in the Arab quarters. Not a safe area, but is where she chose to be, and she guarded it the best anyone could. She stopped numerous altercations from Ukraine and took down a one of terrorists during her time here. She was praised by many and given awards for her actions on her post. Rose even fended off the surprise attack on her kibbutz on October 7th with the help of her other soldiers in her kibbutz, Saad. So if you did not Rose, ask anyone who did know her. They would say she is the sweetest person you'll ever meet, but she is also the toughest. Rose was also merciful. She never abused her power, even though she knew she was tougher than you. She never judged unfairly. She was fair and loving with a side of "I will kick your ass," and my ass was kicked a lot. The fourth thing I will say about Rose is her body is her temple. Rose is an ox. Her home away from her home would be the gym. Rose spent hours upon hours in the gym some days. I feel she was there longer she was at home on some days, and her workouts were not easy or short. I would work out with her, and the next day be mashed potatoes on the couch. Rose took her physical health to her home when she decided to start dieting. It was quite interesting watching her measure out grains of rice on her scale in order to get the right macros. The worst part of her dieting was that my siblings and I involuntarily had to do them with her half the time. This was due to my mom partaking with the diets with her, which meant all the food in our mom's house was what Rose would eat, and I would throw it away. Rose did not drink alcohol or anything of that sort. She was as pure as anything on this planet. She refused to take certain medicines because she believed they would cause some sort of harm to her body. If she could, she would always choose the natural way. The fifth thing about Rose is she loved to laugh. Although Rose did not have the best laugh, and it was more of a snort, it is still a great laugh. A laugh that when you heard it, you would know that she was genuinely laughing. There was nothing fake about Rose. I remember countless times at the dinner table, at Dad's home, or the kitchen counter at Mom's, where something would happen and Rose would begin her chuckle. And if Rose began to laugh, everyone was laughing. It was contagious. And many times she would be the last one laughing. Rose had a laugh I will never forget. If you had the chance to hear it, then you would know this too. I can make this list go on forever, but then we would be here forever. But I now want to talk about who Rose wanted to be. I think this is an important factor in knowing Rose. As a child, where Rose wanted to live changed quite often. There was a moment when she wanted to live in Kentucky on a river where she could go noodling for catfish every day. If you're unaware what noodling is, it is when you stick your arm or leg in a hole on the floor of a river hoping to get bit by catfish. If you are lucky, it is not a snake or a snapping turtle. You would then pull the catfish out only if you were lucky. There was a moment when she wanted to live in Savannah, Georgia. This was my favorite of all her options. She had selected a house that held enough land to own horses. Rose loved horses. I remember a book she had with all the different breeds of horses, and she would read it all the time. She would also cut out paper horses and then color them so that me and her could play together with them. The house Rose wanted to buy was beautiful. It was all white, and if you have seen my mom's house, you would see a resemblance. This is when me and my siblings made a deal. We would only live an hour and a half apart, at the most. Of course, it did not last long, because Rose was never settled on anything. That was until Israel. Rose knew she was going to join the IDF from a young age, but was not settled on staying there at first. Everyone but her knew she would. As time went on, Rose did decide that she wanted to live in Israel, like we all knew would happen. This is her home. As far as a career, I am not sure. I believe she wanted to continue a career throughout the IDF. This was her passion, dream, objective, reality, want, need, and love. Two things that never changed about Rose is that she wanted to join the IDF, and she did not want a family. She wanted a miniature tribe. What I mean is she wanted to compete with whomever the rabbi's wife down the street for who could have more kids. She did not want 3 or 4 or even 6. Rose was aiming for the odd number of 7 kids. This again, I think, adds to her strangeness. I want to talk about how Rose affected me in my life. She was my big sister, the first person to teach me how to play. Many of my first memories are with Rose. For a long while, Rose did not call me Alec, but Buddy. And that's what we were. We were best buddies. Like sheets of paper glued together, me and her stuck together. Because of this, she taught me so much. She was a huge role model to me. I looked up to her for so long, and will always look up to her. Even though sometimes she would dress me up as a princess and try to convince me I was a princess, I would always tell all my friends and clients how much of a badass my sister was. Everyone I worked for knew who Rose was, even if she did not know them. This was how proud of her I was. Rose taught me to hold my head high, walk with a purpose, to love those close to me with all my heart, always offer a hand and never judge unfairly. She also taught me to be proud of my religion. Rose was the most religiously proud person I knew and taught me not to be afraid of my beliefs as well. I'll finish with Rose being the only person in the world who not one single person can say a single bad thing about her. She may be the one person who I had never seen or even heard of her doing something wrong. Her teachers loved her, her peers adored her teammates looked up to her family loved her and will always miss her. She was everything this world needed and everything this world will need. She's the best of all of us, a human with no negatives, besides her random belches. Even those I will miss because they were great. When I see fireflies, I will always remember catching them in our hands in the backyard. When I see people walking out front of my house, I always remember Rose whispering in my ear something to go say to them. When I see a roly-poly, I remember Rose and I scooping them up and creating our own families with them. When my kids have their own toys, I remember Rose and I playing with our toys. Because Rose is my big sister, and because she was my first friend, and because we are both one of each other's best friends, I can guarantee Rose would not want to watch us all of us sit around and give up. She would want us to mourn her, yes, but not sit and give up. She would want us to continue with our lives and thrive in them. We need to put one foot in front of the other proudly, the way Rose did, so proudly and pridefully, while she was on duty and continue her young, vibrant, unique, and extraordinary legacy. Rose, we are fond of you, adore you, look up to you, miss you, and will always love you.